Hello, everybody. Welcome to show number 11. Show number 11 of Finance Agents Live. Hope you guys are doing great today. Today, I am here all ready in my Dodgers gear. Thank you to everyone who voted on the last week's episode. I can't say I'm too surprised that we got more Dodgers votes than Astros. Nothing against our Astros fan. We have a lot of great friends in Houston, but, you know, Dodgers, right? They're going to win this thing anyway. Right now we're 3-3. Tonight is the final game. And on top of that, our man who is running the show, Darren, is actually going to the game tonight. So I'm jealous. We're all jealous. We'll be rooting from home. If you're an Astros fan, you know, you did a great job, right? You came pretty far.
It's not over till it's over.
You still have the longest losing streak or longest streak of not winning in baseball history. Now that the Cubs finally broke their streak. We wish you the best of luck. I hope it's a real close game that you almost win, just so you can feel it, right? Just so you can feel it. Anyway, I'm here today again with David Crantz, president of Lendterra. Thank you for coming on the show, David.
Hello, Tim. Hello, everybody.
Hey. And this week is a follow-up to last week. Last week we had a lot of positive comments and responses when they heard about David's background, all the great stuff that he's done. And when I say great stuff that he's done, specifically how he's been able to raise over $500 million in real estate funding for his clients over the years. And so what we wanted to do is a follow-up show talking about exactly how he did it. How was David able to achieve such success? And so we're going to be going into that today. And specifically, we're going to be talking about one tactic, his single best tactic or strategy that he used that if you're in the industry, you can use in order to bring in large amounts of clients that need your service and want and qualify for, which is really the combo here, which is tough about financing. But before we go any further, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. And if you haven't been to our YouTube channel, maybe you're on our show right now, but you're not on our channel, go to youtube.com/FinanceAgents. That's where we live. And we're going to be posting a show every Wednesday from here until forever, maybe till I die, right? Maybe that long, who knows? We'll see. Only the future will tell. And also we're going to be adding all sorts of other shows along with it around all sorts of topics, lots of tips and tricks on how to get funding, how to qualify for all different types of financing. So I would ask you, go to our channel and subscribe. Your subscription helps us gain more momentum and offer these services for more people. So if you get any value out of what we're doing, please subscribe. Now, with that said, I mentioned last week's show. Last week, David and I talked about everything related to private money lending, right?
Correct.
What David's company does, how do you qualify, how much funding is available, how quickly it can happen. We gave specific examples of different types of property, what the loans look like, if you're an agent that refers to us, how much money you could make. If you're interested in that, please go to last week's show. We're not going to be covering that today. So I love interaction and I love questions. But if you're asking questions about that, what's the LTV, how long does it take to fund, all of that, we're not going to be covering that. So please go to last week's show. We got the link right there. Or you can just go to our YouTube channel and find what last week's show. It's got a big picture of David with a thumb up. You can't miss it. All right. So, and by the way, if you're on right now and you were on last week's show, let us know. Put something into the chat. I'd love to see who's on. We had a lot of people that voted. I have a special shout out to my nephew, Marshall. Thank you for voting. The only one in my family that actually figured out how to vote. My parents shared the wrong show to their friends. So, you know, they tried. I give them credit. But thank you everybody for voting in. Dodgers for the win. Okay. All right. So moving on. Now we're going to be going into following up with David and talking about, let's give a quick history, a quick overview on your background and how you got where you are today, right?
Sure,
We've got some stuff on the screen. Why don't you just sort of go through real quick?
I grew up in the industry. I'm a third-generation money lender. Mm-hmm. Started with my grandfather and my father, then down to myself. When I was a young man, actually out of high school, I started actually financing people's home improvement projects, from roofing projects to solar projects to small deals such as water conditioners. When I was before my 20s, I'll never forget it, I financed my first home improvement project.
Yeah, that surprised me when you said you were doing solar project. This is back in the late 80s?
Late 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s. Mid 80s, actually.
All right. Before Elon Musk.
Yeah, right. Mid 80s.
Solar City.
Mid 80s. I started and grew a company called Whirlwind Acceptance, which became really back in the day, which was called subprime lending. That was a term that wasn't really widely used in the industry, but we were the largest subprime lender in the state of Arizona at the time under Whirlwind Acceptance. The company grew to about 150 employees. And then after that, that company was sold off, and we started another company called Landmark Capital, which became the largest private money lender in the state of Arizona for a number of years. And since my return to California, I started a company called Cantor Capital, where I structured senior living projects. So I took a little bit of time away from money lending, even though I had a lot of experience in lending to senior living projects.
All real estate related anyway.
All real estate related, where I would develop and raise money for assisted living and senior living properties and projects as well too. Today, president of Lendterra, founding partner and exclusive partner with Finance Agents. Very happy about that.
And you hear all about that on our last show. And beyond that, we're in the process. So Lendterra was launched a year ago, a little over a year ago, last August. And up until last month, we've done about 10 million. And then in October, we did 3 million. And our goal is to do another 10 million over the next 2 months. It's an ambitious goal, but we think we can beat the entire last year in 2 months. But along with Lendterra, David, we're in the middle of launching 2 other companies. All right?
That's correct.
So American Mortgage Fund and Morgan Graham. Why don't you tell everybody what those are?
American Mortgage Fund is a general fund that's going to allow investors to contribute directly to our fund, which allows us as Lendterra to become a lot easier for us to lend our money out. We're going to create a fund just like a bank, if you will, where we have depositors put money into our fund and we become a direct lender.
Just like a bank, except for people can actually get loans.
Except people can actually
instead
get
of the
loans.
runaround.
And Morgan Graham is going to become the fund management company, which will be managing the American Mortgage Fund.
Okay, great. And other funds over the years.
And other
right?
funds
so
over the years.
Everything real estate related. That's going to enable Lendterra to do a lot more lending. It's going to enable us to expand our credit box and help more people.
Right.
So very excited about that. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that in the future. We're not quite live yet, so don't go checking it out, or you'll see it soon. All right, but moving on. So that is a good review of our background and everything we've been doing in the past and what's going on right now. And I'm stalling a little bit, waiting for our tech guy to advance to the next slide. Remember, if you have any questions or comments or anything at all, feel free to type it in the chat box, and Darren will actually read it out loud for us to hear. So we want to make sure to enter. This is not a one-way presentation. This is two-way. We want to hear from you guys.
I'm hearing that I'm a little hard to hear. If everybody can hear me, hopefully you can hear me. I had a couple comments that I'm hard to hear. Okay, great. So we're good to hear.
Great. All right. So, this show is about you. I told David before the show, get ready for me to celebrate you on this show, because $500 million is a lot of money. And you did $500 million before, when $500 million was even more money, right? Because we're not talking, with inflation and everything. This is from the mid-'80s until about 2006.
Maybe. 2006 probably, maybe.
So over a 20-year period, you're able to do over $500 million.
Over $500 million.
So why don't you talk a little bit about what are some of the keys to your personal success? Why were you able to achieve something so many other people have been unable to do?
One word. I'm consistent, I don't give up, and I don't take no for an answer. That's really what it comes down to. And what I'm going to talk about today, Tim, is really what I find to be the single best strategy to go out and get commercial real estate product for what we're looking for, and that's the banks. The banks can't lend, and when they do lend, they're lending so tight. So they're going to be your best source for referrals is the banks, credit unions, community banks, and some of the smaller banks as well too, Tim. That's where I've had the greatest success in my career, was building relationships with bankers that couldn't help their clients and refer them to me over the years. And that's where I'm going to hopefully show everybody today to really go after that particular market.
Right, so we're going to go. We have, I spent a bunch of time with David interviewing him, and we detailed a very specific process. I'm going to go over exactly how he did it. Now, when I say exactly, there's a lot of different things that go into running a successful company. A lot of different things, between how you grow your business, how you manage your employees, how you get investors. There's a ton of things necessary to succeed. We're not going to talk about all of those in detail, otherwise we'd be here for a week. So what we decided to just focus on the one thing that we thought was the most successful. If you're on here right now and you have experience getting people private money loans, through Lendterra or another related company. I'd love to hear what is your single biggest hurdle in order to be able to do more business. What are some of the things that you come across that stop you from succeeding? So as David talks about this one strategy, he can also give tips and tricks on how to deal with those types of things. So please put that into the box. We'll be happy to respond. But, all right, to go back to the one strategy. The one strategy we're going to talk about today and tell you exactly how to do it is how to go directly to banks. Now, David didn't only go to banks.
Correct.
If I remember correctly, you had sort of three main buckets of places you went for loans. You had banks, you had... What was it? What was that?
Banks, finance companies.
Finance companies, which aren't really around.
They're not around like
the way they used to be.
No, they're really not, unfortunately.
And then you got a lot of referrals from
home improvement contractors. General contractors is a good one to go after down the road, which we'll discuss at another show, hopefully.
Right. But if you're going to do only one of those things, then you would go to banks. And to me, this was interesting because I've been in the industry for a long time. And I have found banks are a little difficult to get referrals from. Most of our experience has been in business lending for a lot of different reasons. But you've had success with banks for mortgages. So we want to tell you exactly how David did it, and we'll go through it. All right, so what is the strategy? We've got the strategy on the screen. Kind of go through the steps.
My strategy is this. First of all, whoever's listening, you have to understand, if you follow what I'm telling you to do, I promise you success. You have to be willing to get off your butt and get out in the field. And that's really what this is all about. This is for people that have personalities that want to go out and meet people. Because what I'm about to show you is 90% your personality and 10% business. You will be talking to bankers 90% about other life, social issues, and 10% about business. And as I go through it, I'll explain what I mean by that.
All right, so if you have a bad personality, maybe this is a bad strategy. I'm just kidding. If it's bad, make it better, right? Get the How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
That's a good book for you. But do you think anybody can do this, or what are some of the people where it's going to be harder?
As we go through this, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to map yourself out on a daily routine to go out and talk to the various different bankers. I'm going to give you the quote-unquote elevator pitch to use for the bankers, and I'm going to teach you over 30 days how to route yourself to go pick yourself up referral bankers that will continually give you referral business. I don't know if that answered your question for you.
Right. Now, when we were talking before, you said that you thought the key to making this work was consistency, hitting the banks over and over again. Now you're kind of saying it's personality. What do you think is more important, having an amazing personality or being amazingly consistent?
You have to be amazingly consistent.
Okay.
With a good personality helps.
Right.
I mean, you have to smile when you're talking to people, obviously. But what we've done is this. We've mapped out 50. We do this. This is what David Crantz did, which caused him to be successful and allowed me to make the money I've made over my lifetime and allowed me to do well over $500 million in commercial real estate. I would get up in the morning or the night before, example, and I would map myself out. Nowadays, you can use your Google map, and I would map out 50 banks in that particular area for the week. We'd map out 50 banks for the week. Mm-hmm. And we'd have a route to go down. And including in the banks would be not only just banks, but would be the credit unions and the small community banks as well, too. And what you want to do is you simply want to visit 10 banks a day. It's not hard to do. You could do more than 10 banks a day, especially if they're on the corners, the big corner banks. Mm-hmm. You go to them, you're walking in there, and you're going to simply ask to meet with the person that handles the mortgage loans. Usually in the big branches, there's usually 1 to 2 people that handle the mortgage loans. You're simply going to go to them, and I don't know if you have flyers yet or if we're going to develop flyers for these people, and you're going to explain to them that you are a non-traditional lender or that you're working with a non-traditional lending company and that we work specifically with people that have had trouble getting loans through the banks. We can handle people that have had bad credit. We can handle people that have no income on their tax returns. As long as there's equity, obviously, that's what we're looking for. And your relationship with the banker should be really very social, very, very at first, very introductory at first, non-pushy. Hi, how are you? It's a pleasure to meet you. Here's my flyer. Here's my card. Let me explain a little bit about myself and what we do. Again, I'm a non-traditional lender. I lend to everybody with poor credit or people that can't show income on their tax returns. I'm sure, Mr. Banker, that you probably have had people that you've turned down that you couldn't help out in the past.
Right. Okay. Good. So you say you go to talk to the person in charge of mortgage. How difficult is that to figure out? And is there a difference between residential, owner-occupied mortgage, or commercial? I mean, who exactly do you ask for?
You're going to go
and is it ever hard finding the right person?
It's never hard finding the right person. What I usually do is I go and I ask for the branch manager at first, because the branch manager is either going to sit down and talk to you, or they're going to direct you immediately to see my loan officer, Darren, over there. So you're going to talk to the branch manager first. You're going to give your elevator pitch to the branch manager, and the branch manager is either going to talk to you or direct you to the mortgage loan officer at that particular point.
Okay. And there's no distinction between mortgages for owner-occupied, because you'll remember we don't do owner-occupied properties, minus a few small exceptions. In general, it has to be non-owner-occupied or commercial. It could be, right? So is there...
some banks have distinctions. Some banks will have people that do just the residential side, purchase money deals, want to stay away from those, and some people deal with just the commercial side. We obviously want to go just to the commercial side of the bank, or make your relationship with the bank manager. It really shouldn't matter at that particular point, because, again, depending on the bank, some banks will have it separated by commercial division, some will have it separated by the purchase residential division. But when you're dealing with a smaller community bank or credit union, it's usually the bank manager that will handle all of the business for that particular branch.
Okay, great. If anybody who's listening right now has actually gone into a bank before to try to solicit business, I'd love to hear what your experience has been like. Type something in and David will be able to respond to it, say if that's normal or if maybe it was a strange experience, whatever. I'd be happy to give feedback on that. All right, so what we talked about is map out 50 banks, and you can do that pretty easily with Google Maps these days. You're going to visit 10 per day. Each bank that you go in, or more if you can, but the structure we're talking about is make sure to hit at least 10. When we say hit 10 banks, that means go in and talk to people, right? This isn't a drive-by where you go, drop off something, don't talk to anybody, leave. You're going to get nothing from that.
And let me interrupt.
10 full conversations with somebody.
And it's really important, okay? And here's what the truth of the matter is. There's an old saying, the old adage, okay? People do business with who they like doing business with. I am telling you that some of the bankers and finance companies that referred loans to me in my early 20s are still friends with me today. I make friends with these people. That's how you're going to get their business. Not walking in there, giving them a card and a pamphlet and not seeing them for the next week. How are you? What's going on? Did you see the Dodgers game? How's the weather? I don't care. You guys are smart. You come up with something. You have to come up with some way to just engage them in some sort of communication so they remember you.
Okay, great. All right, so map out the banks, visit 10 per day, make sure to talk to people, create a relationship, and you're going to take two things with you, flyers and business cards. When I say flyers, it's really one flyer for every person at the bank that could refer business to you. So I think in general you should assume, we figured 1.5 people per bank, right? So either 1 or 2 people in general, unless the place is really large. So make sure to have at least 2 flyers per bank, so that you're going to go to 20 banks, make sure to have a minimum of 20 flyers with you. You don't want to be caught short. So a flyer for each banker, and then about 5 business cards per banker. So if there's 2, you want to have 10. We recommend just making sure to have about 20 flyers and maybe 100 business cards. That should be way more than you need per day. Somebody's asking, when will we have flyers or credentials? It's an interesting question. It depends on exactly how we're working together. But we can make flyers available for you guys to take out. The only caveat I have is that if you're working directly with one of our member offices, as most of you will be, then you're going to want to get a flyer that's branded under their office. And so you may want to work directly with a member office in order to accomplish that. Either way, we're happy to support you. Not sure what you mean by credentials, because generally that's sort of licensing, or I don't know what sort of credentials did you take with you? What did you take with you besides flyers and business
My
cards?
smile, man. Credentials, I don't really think I understand what the question means.
So between the business cards and flyers, that's what you need. So I'm going to assume that's what you're asking about, and we can work with you to make sure you have those. If you're a recruiter with us, then you automatically get them. If you're an executive, you get them. If you're a member office, we can get those for you. Flyers, we need to create something specific just for this, and we're going to be running a big campaign for the rest of the year. So by tomorrow, you know what? If you make a comment, if you make any comment in here, let me not say that. Send an email to info@financeagents.com. Send an email to info@financeagents.com. When we get that, we will contact you in order to make sure you have what you need. It'll also let us know that you're interested in doing this. We're going to be taking a group of people, anybody who expresses interest in doing this, we're going to get you together as a group and go through it as a group. We know that this system succeeds, and we want to help make sure you know that. At the beginning, when you try something new, it's hard to have confidence that it's going to work. So we're going to get everybody together. We can all share tips and tricks. You're probably not going to be in the exact same spot, so it's not going to be your competition.
Right.
We're going to work with you guys together to make sure this works. So November and December of this year, 2017, we're going to be going big on this strategy because we know anybody who does this should be able to bring in 2 or 3 loans in a month.
It's this works. This isn't like something new that doesn't work. This is the simplest, most successful way to go out and get commercial real estate mortgages is the turn downs from the banks. And the mapping system we have, it's not hard. It's not ingenious.
Okay.
Why was I successful? Consistency is the word.
Because you kept doing it. All right, so the numbers. 50 banks, 4 visits per bank over a month. That's about 200 visits. Out of those 200 visits, you should be looking to get about 10 referrals, or a referral from 1 out of 5 banks that you go to. Those 10 referrals should turn into 7 applications. Very likely somebody is going to apply if they just got turned down from a bank and referred to you. Out of those 7 applications, bank referrals tend to be, potentially all 7 could turn into a letter of intent. So, but we're saying 5 here to be, what we think is realistic. So out of 10 referrals, 7 apps, 5 letters of intent, and out of those 5, we think it's very reasonable. You should end up with 2 to 3 funded loans in 1 month, right?
Easy.
David promises.
That I promise.
Guaranteed.
Well, you know what?
Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Well,
slam dunk, right?
If you follow what I'm telling you to do, and I will make myself readily available to answer any of your questions and help you out. I'll make myself readily available to even talk to the bankers if need be. I will go ahead and almost assure you that if you do what I'm telling you to do, you will get these fundings, period.
Okay.
If you do what I'm telling you to do, you'll get these fundings.
Great. We had an interesting question come in from another Tim. All right. I'd let you borrow my name. Another Tim says, I want to do more loans per month. This is my full-time business, but I'm located in Calgary, so visiting American banks is not possible. Any alternatives? I mean, with us, not really, right? If you couldn't walk into a bank and you wanted to try to do something like this strategy.
Well, unfortunately, we're just lending in the United States of America. We're lending in all 50 states. We're not. I personally am not. Lendterra or American Mortgage Fund is not lending in the country of Canada.
There's got to be private money lenders in Canada.
There are PMIs in Canada for sure. And if you call me, I could probably hook you up with a couple of my buddies that are up in Toronto area. I don't know where you're calling me from, Tim. But,
Calgary.
You're Calgary?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you could probably do this up there to work with private money lenders in the area. We don't have those contacts. If you have good contacts, let us know.
I got some up in
we
Toronto.
Could swap. Oh, you do. Okay.
Toronto.
So, all right. So, contact us. Hopefully that works. But this strategy should be able to work in Canada the same as here.
Yeah, mortgage is a mortgage.
It's just not with us, but
Right.
there's other people that do what we do. So, okay, great. All right. So, bottom line. Let's say you're doing this, and these are some estimates here. Average loan that we fund since we've started doing this over a year ago is about $500,000. And normally, if you're with us and you're a standard referral agent, you're just signed up as a finance agent, you didn't upgrade or change anything, you're getting a 0.5% of the funded amount. Now, of course, there's some exceptions, extreme cases, but in general, on a $500,000 funding, that's a $2,500 commission or payout for the referral. So that is what you can expect to make. If you do 3 of these in a month, that's $7,500 for a month's work. I think most people would say that's not a bad income, right? That's pretty good. So we have a lot of people that are happy in doing this. But as a special right now, and if you're watching this after 2017, then I'm sorry you missed out. But as a special for right now, instead of giving a 0.5% on a funding, we are honoring 1 full percent of funding on any letter of intent that was written in November and December. Now, if it doesn't, let's say it doesn't fund until January, February, March, whatever, I don't care. If the LOI is issued in November or December, we'll pay a full percentage point instead of half. That's effectively doubling the commissions, and that makes it so that if you did the exact same loans that we had on the prior page, did 3 fundings in a month, that could be a $15,000 a month commission.
I can assure you.
And that's great money for helping people that just got turned down. Have you ever been turned down for something? It's not fun, all right? You walk in, you ask for money, they say, get out of here. It's not fun for you, it's not fun for the banker, nobody likes it. We are providing a solution, helps the banker save face, helps the banker not lose their client to another bank, and it helps that customer get the funding they need, and we go from there. Right. So, and you can make 15 grand doing this in a month. Is it worth your time to drive to 200 banks over the next 30 days, 20 business days, 10 banks per day, for 15 grand? I think so.
You do it,
I
could almost assure that these deals will happen.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So that's what we're looking at. I hope that a lot of people participate. If you're interested in participating as a group and you want to be working with other people that are doing the exact same thing, email info@financeagents.com, and we'll be doing special private trainings and we're talking about your success. You'll be able to hear from other people going through the exact same thing. So we look forward to hearing from you. All right, Tim is asking, again, another Tim, not to be confused with me, I'm not talking to myself. I have referrals from the States for commercial investors so I can utilize my membership with them. Awesome, perfect. Anybody you have in the States, send them to us, and maybe we send our Canadian people to you. No, we don't really get a lot of Canadian loans.
We don't do any Canadian loans.
But if we see one, maybe we send it your way.
We tease the Canadians up there with their accents.
We send the Canadian loans, on their, I'm sorry, I'm not that funny. All right, so let's go into some tips and tricks for making this work. If you're doing this with us, here are some of the things that you need to do in order to be successful. And the first one, David's already said, be consistent.
Look, if Joe the banker is there, if you go see Joe the banker Monday at 1 o'clock on week 1, you better be there week 2, 3, and 4 Monday at 1 o'clock at the same time. Because if you go there that one time, Joe the banker is not going to remember you. He's not going to know anything about you. He sees 50 people a day. But if you go see Joe the banker 4 times in a month with your same card, your same business card, your same flyer, and your smile and that personality, come up with some reason to talk to him. Baseball, hockey, weather, don't care what it is. Become his buddy. Dress like a banker. Don't dress like me and Tim today. Dress like a banker.
Don't dress like a Dodgers fan? Come on.
Don't dress like a Dodgers fan, especially if you're down in Houston. Be consistent.
I don't know, that might be a conversation starter. Right?
That'd be a good one. You'll end up with another black guy like Tim's got. You don't notice it's on the camera. He's got a little bump there.
Yeah, my 2-year-old head-butted me in the face, now I have a black eye. So,
it's been with the Dodgers, it's perfect today.
Looking like a perfect Dodgers fan, got beat up in the park.
So the consistency is the thing. You got to know Joe the banker. One time meeting Joe the banker is not going to work. 4 times in a month, Joe the banker is going to remember you, and he's going to start giving you some deals. Okay?
Find the names of his kids. Find out what he likes to do, what sports teams he's into, what movies he watches, what are his hobbies. Connect with him.
Don't be lazy. Get your butt out of bed in the morning. Hit those 50 banks. Your husband or your wife's going to be happy to get you out of the house. So get out of the house, get on this thing, and hit these banks the way I'm telling you to do it.
Now, it's easy to say don't be lazy and be consistent. The reality is you do this for a little bit and you don't feel those immediate results. It's real easy to start to doubt it. I think, maybe this only works for David because he's so amazing. Maybe David's just hilarious, and I'm not funny.
No, it works. Listen, these bankers are looking for a place to lay their paper off. They're not getting hit consistently like you think they would be. That's the funny thing about it.
Seems to me like they would be.
It's the best place to go mine for deals. And they're not getting hit consistently like you think they are. And if you're their buddy and you make them your friend and you spend 90% of your time, really it's informal. 90% of your time is informal, 10% is business, and 90% is putting your arm around them, becoming their buddy, you'll be successful with this program.
Okay, all right, 90-10 rule. That's what you want to remember. 90% fun, 10% business. Don't walk in the door and say, remember me, I do, start by bringing up what you talked about last week. Make notes after your meetings so that if you're like me, you got a memory, it's horrible, and make notes.
And if you have a name and you want to put something on your business card, let's say I had a friend of mine, her name was Lonnie, and her name was Lonnie Loans Are My Life Peck. And you know what? Everyone remembered it by Lonnie Loans Are My Life. So come up with something consistent. If your name can come up with some key little thing we can put on your business card for you that makes it catchy. Be a little catchy. Be a little creative.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So we went through the tips of, be consistent. So keep doing it. Don't be lazy. Get out there and keep trying. You will get results. The third one was make sure to spend most of your time creating a relationship and not asking for the sale, right? It's sort of the Gary Vaynerchuk has a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook, where he talks about give value, provide value, and every once in a while openly ask for the sale. That's the strategy that's good at boxing. It's also a good strategy in going to banks and creating relationships. And then the last thing here, maybe not the very last thing, but feel comfortable, right? This is not like you're calling somebody at 8 o'clock where they're having dinner, asking them to invest in the policeman's ball.
Or put siding on the house.
Or whatever. This is not, you are not bothering them, right? You should be a bright spot in their day. You show up, you have some fun, you talk about things, and you give them a solution. You are giving them a solution they may not have at all, which is a way to help their clients without losing them to Wells Fargo or Bank of America or wherever else they may go next. It's allowing them to keep the relationships and help people and save face. So feel comfortable. You are not bothering people. You are helping them. You are there to help them. And then to go back to what David was saying earlier, dress like a banker, right? When you walk in, when they look at you, they want to know that you're a professional. And even though you're having fun, they're allowed to sit there and talk to you for a half an hour, right? If not, maybe they're going to look bad talking to you for a long time. Look professional and
look like they look.
How did you dress when you did this?
Well, remember,
tuxedo,
back
right?
then I was a young
Tuxedo,
guy.
bow tie?
I was a young guy back then when I was doing this. So I would.
You just shoved out the guns.
Right, yeah, that's right. I didn't have the gut either. So I would walk in. I had a shirt and tie on every day when I would walk in. I didn't wear a suit and tie. I wear shirt and tie every day.
Okay, great. Shirt and tie with a jacket.
I would not.
Even
wear
in Arizona, it's 110 degrees.
No jacket.
No jacket. All right, no jacket. Not in Arizona. Okay, so and then last, and we put this one last because you don't have to do this. It's called this extra credit, but go above and beyond and meet outside the bank. Wine and dine them. Take them to the Dodgers Game 7.
Right.
Only costs $1,000 per ticket, right? Take them to Dodgers Game 7, or take them out to a restaurant.
Again, this is no one buys them lunch.
Don't buy them lunch.
No, you can.
Oh,
Nobody does. Yeah,
okay.
You do. I mean, no one take them to Applebee's. They're thrilled. Okay.
Claim jumper. Lots of food. You buy one plate for 4 people.
They love it. They're looking for an excuse to get out of the office. So become their friend. Don't be afraid to invite them out to lunch. Don't do it the first time you meet them. Once you you're going to get some business from these guys. You've seen them 3-4 times. Hey, let's go to lunch. I'll buy you lunch at Applebee's, or I'll buy you lunch across the street. They're happy to get out. Become their friend. Become their confidant. That's how you're going to start getting the referral business.
Great. One of the things that I forgot to mention here, but we talked about a lot before, when we say be consistent, we don't just mean keep going back, but actually come at the same time each week.
Right.
Don't swap up your schedule unless something happens crazy, but try to hit the same bank the same time so that they know that you are there 11 o'clock every Tuesday. And that consistency will have them expecting you.
And that'll change things for you.
Okay, great. Now, one of the things we also talked about, we haven't mentioned here, is that some of these bankers are going to tell you they're not allowed to make referrals, and there's no reason to keep going to that same bank.
Yeah, and you're going to find that
there can be some modifications to your list over that first month.
And you're going to find that very rare that they're going to say they don't refer out. You'll find that in a very rare case.
Okay, great. All right, good. Well, let's get into some of the talking points. David already went over it before, but let's hit them. We have 4 specific things that you want to talk about when you're talking to the banker. The first is you're there to help their clients. You're there to help them help their clients. Again, these bankers are sort of in a sales position. And I can tell you as a sales guy, you hate taking somebody that really wants what you have to offer and just telling them no. It goes against every instinct you have as a salesperson. It just drives you crazy. So if you can take somebody and give them a solution, it actually makes it easier for you to say no. Unfortunately, you don't fit our lending box. The good news is I have somebody you can refer you to. Boom, that gets rid of the drama, crying maybe. Some people might be in a real situation and need help, and they want to help them.
Listen, okay, and you all know this too. When you have a loan client that you can't help, how many times does that guy call you desperately because you're not able to help that client?
20 times a day.
Okay, but guess what? It's happening to that gosh darn private banker too. So you just saved his life because you walked in there and you're now able to take a turn down off his hands. And he's relieved because he's able to now get that off his phone and help out his client.
Right. So you're jumping on a grenade for them, and at the same point, helping the client out and making money.
It's perfect.
It's a win-win-win. Awesome. So first of all, you're there to help their clients. Second, you are not a competitor. Most of the bankers, their primary number one thing that they have to be aware of is don't lose the depository relationship. Meaning, if you're a Wells Fargo banker, people are putting their money into their Wells Fargo bank account. If they come to Wells Fargo for a loan and Wells Fargo says no, guess what? They're going to go to Chase or US Bank or somewhere else. And if they like that bank, they're going to move their depository relationship away. They're going to go close their Wells Fargo account because they're mad at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo wouldn't fund my loan. People get mad,
They get
right?
upset.
So instead of them going to another bank, they're coming to a private lender who doesn't even have banking. So you can't lose the depository relationship, and they're happy because they got a real solution. So that's another thing. You are not a competitor to the banker. You're on their side. You're helping their client, and you're on the same team. I know the third one is that you're a direct lender. Why is that important to bankers?
Well, it's important to the banker to know that they're not giving a loan to a broker who's going to take their loan and shop it all over town and not really understand what the underwriting matrix is. If they know you're working with a direct lender such as Lendterra, they're going to be a lot more comfortable knowing that we can make a fast decision, knowing that the loan's not being brokered out and that we're dealing direct.
Okay, great. So direct lender, that's a plus. Now we do broker sometimes, so you don't know, promise that we never do. But in general, 70% of the deals we're doing these days, we're putting on our own line, right?
About 70-80% of our own deals we're underwriting and funding ourselves.
Okay, so most of the time it's going to be yes. And then the last thing, and you don't want to bring this up first, bring it up last, partially because there's a lot of banks that have rules about this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But let them know that if they're interested in getting a referral for a referral fee, or if the bank, you want to make sure to say it, that there's a program where the bank can earn money for the referrals. You want to be careful about coming across as just offering them money directly, because some bankers are not allowed to receive payments. It might be viewed wrong.
The major banks are going to really not be interested in any type of referral fee. However, what you're going to find when you talk to the managers at the community banks, they're going to be interested in earning a referral fee for the most part. You're going to find that very, 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 very unusual when you go out there. So I would say with the community banks, they almost are going to be expecting a fee.
And what kind of fees do the community banks
Usually they're
expect?
going to want half to a point on a deal, which is not a big deal.
Something like that. All right. Well, we'll work with you on it. If you have a bank that's interested in doing this, let us know and we'll help make it happen. All right. So let's get into some of the hurdles that you might run into while you're doing this. So I walk into a bank. I talk to the banker. Hey, we're chatting for a bit. And I say, you know what? I'm a direct lender and I can help your clients, the ones that you're turning down. Do you have any right now that you could refer over to me? And the banker says, sorry, I'm not allowed to refer people out. How do you respond to that objection?
Really? I'm really surprised to hear that the bank doesn't allow you to refer people out. What do you do when you turn someone down? Aren't you afraid of losing them to one of your competitor banks?
Yeah, we just have a policy. I had to sign something saying
Do
I'm
ya?
not allowed to send it to anybody else. It's
Yeah.
just the rule.
If that's the case, which is going to be very rare that you're going to see that, leave them your card and say thank you very much. If you know anybody personally that you can refer out that may need my services, thank you very much. Scratch them off your list. Go to the next.
All right, so really there's sort of, with that objection, there's two situations. One, they're literally not allowed to send anybody out. Another one might be an informal bank rule. If it's an informal bank rule, say, I don't know, but the manager sort of frowns on it. So it's not an actual rule, it's more
Well, if the manager
implied.
frowns on it and it's implied, I'd play with the people a lot more. I would absolutely keep them on my list. I'd go back to them because the manager knows better. That means to me the manager's got their own referral source that they're referring to. If they say don't refer out, there's something going on there.
Okay, all right, that's interesting.
Okay.
So here's another objection. I'm in there, I'm the banker. Look, David, you seem like a nice guy. We had a fun conversation. You're like the Dodgers, I don't know. But I don't really know you. So I feel uncomfortable referring to somebody I just met. What's your response to that?
Well, I can appreciate that, but let me give you a little history on who we are and what we do. And at that point, I would go into the structure of what Lendterra is and how you're affiliated with Lendterra. And I would explain to them the size of what we are and the background of our company so we can get them comfortable that we're an organization that can handle their turndowns.
Okay.
Let's pitch a little bit more on that, though.
Right. I mean, well, first of all, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear this is, sure, this is something they're going to say the first time you go in there because they literally don't know you. Keep going back, it becomes consistent, and you're more likely to get over that barrier just by creating a relationship. But when you say talk about our organization and some of the things about it, what are some of the specific things? We say, you seem like a nice guy. Never heard of your organization. And by the way, you might be one of our member offices. I see Ryan from Gravity Finance is on right now. And he says, I'm Ryan from Gravity Finance. And then Lendterra, I've never heard of Gravity Finance. I've never heard of Lendterra. Why would I refer to you? Should Ryan be mentioning Lendterra? Or is that just going to confuse it?
Well, you know what? I mean, we're asking a question that I think we need to kind of talk about. I don't think that you're going to have that much objection to them coming up stating, who are you? Mm-hmm. Because typically what you're doing is you've got to go in there and you've got to explain to them the benefit of what you're doing for them. What are you doing for them? You're taking pressure away from them. They don't like turning people down and saying, I can't help you out. They want to say, I can't help you. The bank policy won't let you help you. Call this person. Okay? If they come up to you and say, I don't know you, I don't know who you are, well, look, I am Ryan McLean from Gravity Finance, and I just did a $1.8 million deal, and I did it in 8 days. That's who I am. And I would go ahead and really just pitch yourself as much as you possibly can. Don't think that's going to be too much of an objection coming up, though.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a good example. $1.8 million loan, 8 days. What kind of loan? What kind of a property was it again?
A single-family home.
Single-family home, not owner-occupied. It was worth what?
3.8 maybe.
3.8. Okay, big house.
3.2. I don't remember.
Okay, all right. So here's another objection.
And if I may go back to that, I don't know you. I would go back to them. Well, who are you referring to right now, and how did you get to know those people?
Okay.
And I would start to open up that general conversation with them. Don't let them get away with that. Start probing there.
Okay, great. All right, another way around it is just have fun and have a conversation. Over time, they're going to stop saying that because maybe they just like hanging out with you.
Right.
All right, so let's say you get this objection. You know what? You seem nice, but I already refer to Chuck at Chuck's Mortgage Shop. So kind of happy with Chuck. He's a nice guy.
Great. How's Chuck doing? Is Chuck? That's where you're going to want to ask if they're getting referral fees to the bank, because we have a program that pays referral fees to the bank. I don't know if Chuck does that or not. Okay. Number one. Number two, what kind of reporting does Chuck give you when you refer a deal to him? Does he report right back to you each time you refer a deal to him?
Sometimes.
Okay. Well, with us, remember one very important thing. Okay, is this is your customer, Mr. Banker. He's got his money with you. You're going to be relying on me to get a deal done for this guy. You're going to hear from me all the way through with your customer what's going on so you know what the status is. If Chuck from the mortgage company isn't calling you back and giving you the information back, doesn't that make you a little bit more nervous that you're referring your customer out and not really following up to know what's going on with your client? And I would get in there with them to have them get comfortable with you that by sending their deal to Chuck from Chuck's Mortgage Company, well, Chuck at Chuck's Mortgage Company, number one, isn't reporting back to him on a daily basis telling him what's going on with his client, isn't offering a referral fee. That's a perfect way to offer a referral fee if they're using someone else at that particular time. And that's how I would handle that.
Okay, great. So an organization has a ton of experience in going to people that refer. A lot of this was in the franchise space where we went to franchisors and asked them to refer over people that were starting a franchise to get funding. And a lot of the time, they maybe had a pre-existing relationship, or they didn't. When they didn't, it tended to be a slam dunk. Just tell me the last 5 guys that wanted to come in that you couldn't help, and they start realizing how much money is in it for the referral. So if they don't have a relationship, it should be relatively easy to get the referrals as long as they're allowed to. If they already have a relationship, it's a different situation. And one of the things, the Achilles heel of this type of relationship is, and it's something you can use against the person you're going against, but it's also something that you're going to have once you're in that relationship, is that you're never going to be able to fund 100% of the deals. You won't. Whoever they refer to now, they have fallout. They have deals that they're not funding because no lender can fund everything and stay in business. That's just the truth. So you know that there's fallout on the referrals. You can always, at a minimum, say, send me the people that they couldn't help. Now, that's easy to do and you can always get it. With that said, it's a little bit dangerous because the people that the bank couldn't help and the other guy couldn't help, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to help them either. But you should at least be able to get those. Now, that's conversely, on the other side, you're going to find out how strong of a relationship they really have. if they really like that guy, if they really have a connection, they're not going to change and come to you, except for the situation that I just said. And the reason I make an emphasis of this is once you get somebody good who's referring to you, just make sure to cement that relationship. Don't slack off. I've seen a lot of people get somebody, start getting some referrals. They focus so much on the referrals that they slack off and they stop reinvesting in that relationship. And at that point, they're done. Right? The next guy's going to come along and you're going to lose that business and you're not going to get it back because you were lazy.
The whole thing that made me successful truly was I became friends with my finance people and the finance companies that referred business and the bankers. I mean, they became my social outlets. That was the truth. When I was going out on weekends, I was going out with their families and their wives and them, and that's how I just focused my whole career. My business was around my referral sources, and that's what has to be done to be successful.
Great. Awesome. Well, then that, you know what works. All right. So next, we do have a question coming in. How is Finance Agents affiliated with Lendterra? Finance Agents, we've been around forever. Lendterra is our exclusive partner for commercial real estate deals, launched in August of 2016, and they're our exclusive partners. So they don't do any deals that don't come through one of our sales offices or a network of referral parties. We are two distinct, separate legal entities, and we just have an exclusive partnership. All right, so the next question somebody asked is, let's say the banker says, well, you know, I can refer to you, but what are your terms? What are my people going to be looking at?
You want to be really careful with this because you don't know what the terms are till we really underwrite the deal. And you want to explain to your banker that our terms are going to be anywhere really between a, 9% deal on up from there. And you want to explain to the people that your loans go from 1 year on up. You want to be very, very vague on this point because you don't know what the deal looks like and you can scare the daylights out of the banker because they don't understand what 12% interest rate seems like and they don't understand what 2 and 3 year financing typically looks like. So you want to be as vague as you possibly can because quite frankly, until we see the deal, we can't issue an LOI with terms either.
Yeah, this is one of the things that's real interesting to me about real estate, so we've only been doing it for a year at Finance Agents, is I see people with interest rates. I've seen people with 200% APRs on things, and most of the business owners I've worked with over the last couple of years, if I said I could get them an interest rate at 12%, they would think I was a gift from God, right? And that I was sent down to earth to save their business personally. And in the real estate space, you could freak out a banker because bankers, almost by law, are not allowed to adjust interest to account for risk, right? You go into a bank, you either get an amazing rate or nothing. It's just the weirdest thing ever. So we can adjust for risk. We work with private investors. The rates are going to be higher. And you're going to say anywhere from, it could be 9% up. I feel pretty confident that you say, generally, you're looking at a 1 year bridge loan. We do a bridge loan of a year in order to help people get through a situation and then refinance with long-term financing. But you said 1 year and up. Is there a reason that you would want to be careful about just saying it's...
It's just because until we really see the deal, you don't want to spook your banker. Our terms would spook bankers because they don't really understand it because they're a banker. They're not a hard money lender or they're not a private money lender. So you want to be as vague as you possibly can on the terms. Our terms start at 9% and our terms are from 1 year on up. 9% a year on up. And that's really what they are.
And if they really push you on the terms, I need to know specifically exactly what you're offering people. Then you got to say, look, it's just impossible. Every deal is different. We're not like a bank with this exact structure. Every deal it depends on where it is, what it is, if it's commercial or is it residential, is it owner occupied, maybe we could do it, or maybe not.
Right.
A lot of variables. And by the way, this is one of the questions I've answered a million times over my career. What are the terms? And I always say it depends on so many things that the first thing we need to do is dig into the individual deal. And what you could say is, look, the first guy you send over, when I go through it, I'll get back to you. I'll be reporting back to you anyway, and I'll give you an idea what the terms are and why for that particular deal. And that allows you to defer until you have something specific and you can justify. Look, this is a 12% because this person had a bankruptcy 2 years ago and can't document their income. Nobody else is going to give them a loan. For my investors to take on this risk, they need to have that extra benefit. And then they'll understand when you're able to present it in that way. All right, well, good. That's it for the planned content of what we're going over.
Okay.
I'd love to open it up for any questions. I do see a couple questions. Feel free to throw in questions. We'll answer them as we go. The last one that came in is, can we finance churches? Just a reminder, we're not going to be able to go into everything on this live stream. In fact, we're just about done. But go to the last live stream we did. Go to youtube.com/financeagents and look at last Wednesday's episode. We'll go through in detail what we do. But the answer to this is we can do some churches as long as it doesn't have a steeple, even sometimes with a steeple. But by having a steeple becomes a single use or single purpose building, and that just makes it harder, right? So like I said, everything depends on where it is, what it is, how much it is, but potentially. If any other questions, feel free to throw it in. While we're waiting, just a request again. If you got any value out of our show today, first of all, I really hope that you're watching this and you want to participate with us in order to get that double commission and make some money in November and December. Who wants to have $15,000 extra for Christmas presents this December? This is what you do. Send an email to info@financeagents.com. We'll be working directly with you in order to try to get deals coming in. So we look forward to hearing from you there. Also, excuse me, subscribe to our channel. Your subscription helps us grow the channel and help more people. So please do so. Anything you want to wrap up with while I cough?
Well, thank you very much. Please be consistent. Don't be lazy. Set your map out for you. As sure as I'm sitting here, I promise you this works. Feel free to contact me directly with any questions that I can help you with your sales approach on this. I'll be there to help you all along the way while doing this.
You can do this, especially you, Super Lady. If with a name like Super Lady, then we have somebody who's just commenting with the name Super Lady. If you believe in yourself enough to put Super Lady on there, then you can do this. Frank, all right, I look forward to participating with you on this. Frank, I know you have a lot of contacts. I'd love to get a bunch of them together and really make a good run at this for November and December. Mark Pleasure, happy to help. Babs is asking, is this only available in the U.S. or do you do UK? Unfortunately, U.S. loans only, but fortunately there is so much business available in the U.S. that I can't even comment on. I mean, we're talking billions and billions every year in turndowns. I would be guessing.
Yeah, this works. Just do what I'm telling you to do. It works. It's the simplest thing. I promise you success.
That's right, Fearless Frank. That's another good name. If you have the name Fearless Frank, then you know you can do this. Tim Mendoza, another Dodgers fan. Awesome. Wait, you're a Giants fan? Well, whatever. Right now you're a Dodgers fan. I'm glad you're the same state, right?
NL West. Go Diamondbacks, right, Tim?
Yeah. All right. Okay, everybody, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you again for coming on the show. Please subscribe. We'll see you next week where we talk about credit repair. I was going to be doing this week. We pushed it till next week. We have an amazing new partner that's going to help your people who don't qualify for financing because they have credit issues. We have a good new partnership we're going to be launching next week. You're going to love it. Look forward to hearing from you. And we look forward to doing a lot more deals together. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.